Hey, check it out, it's Jan, 1/3 of MediaShinobi, and unfortunately Chris couldn't be here today. He's not doing so well, so he had to sit out for this video. So I'm gonna be personally reviewing The Legend of Korra, Book 3, Episode 11, The Ultimatum. So to quickly break down of what happens in this episode, Mako and Bolin were finally able to escape Ba Sing Se along with their extended family due to the generosity of Zahir. Mako and Bolin manages to find Korra and Asami. Korra and the rest of the gang are trying to contact Tenzin back at the Northern Air Temple in order to warn them that Zahir and the rest of the Red Lotus are on their way. However, it was too late. Zahir and the rest of the Red Lotus arrives, and now Tenzin, Bumi, and Kaya have to hold them off while the rest of the airbenders try to escape. So that pretty much sums up the entirety of this particular episode. So if I had to start somewhere, I might as well start with the negatives. First of all, I felt like the first half of this episode was unnecessarily long and comedic. Since this is an action-packed episode, they could have definitely shortened the first half and stretched the second half more, because that second half was really what this episode was about. If you think about where we are right now in the book, we're near the finale. In fact, the next 2 episodes are considered the last. So the comedic aspects, although they were funny for this particular episode, it kind of took away from the overall serious tone that this book so far built based on the last couple of episodes. And my only other negative of this episode is the presence of Iroh. Now, Iroh is arguably my favorite character from Avatar: The Last Airbender. And just like Book 2 of The Legend of Korra, this episode didn't really need Iroh simply because the only thing he really did was tell Korra, well, if you can't talk to Aang or any of the other avatars, you could talk to Zuko. Now, I'm not saying it's bad advice. In fact, it's the complete opposite. However, that kind of advice, that could have been easily been given by someone within the group. I mean, Zuko is already there in the flesh. It's not much of a stretch to assume that someone within the group would have eventually came up with the idea. So it all really boils down to the fact that Iroh was underutilized, and the only reason that they threw in Iroh was because this is Iroh. So that pretty much are the negatives that I could think of at the moment, and they weren't even really much of a big deal simply because they were just things that kind of bothered me a little bit. But other than that, I thought this episode was really good. I mean, my goodness gracious, that episode was just full of action. I definitely liked the fact that it was Aang's children versus the Red Lotus. And I have to give props where props are due, because Bumi and Kaya were able to hold off on their own, and Tenzin could have actually won against Zahir. And I really did appreciate that simply because all 3 of them can almost be considered side characters, and we never really got a full assessment on how well they fight, and we got to see it here, especially for Tenzin. He could have won. The only reason he lost was because Kaya and Bumi eventually ran out of steam. Thus, Tenzin was outnumbered. And I definitely like the fact that Zahir isn't this OP badass. In fact, it makes sense that Tenzin would win against Zahir simply because he's been training his entire life as an airbender. Zahir only recently became an airbender. So I definitely like how realistic it was. So that pretty much wraps up what I think about the episode thus far. And now there's only speculation left to talk about. Now, I found this episode very peculiar just because it's called The Ultimatum. Now, this is a direct reference to the fact that Korra has to choose between giving herself up or abandoning the airbenders. But at the same time, the way they ended the episode was Tenzin being tortured. So if they really want to hold true to this episode, The Ultimatum, remember, Tenzin is now being tortured by the Red Lotus. And Tenzin to Korra is equivalent to Iroh to Zuko. So that probably is a reason why they used Iroh in this episode, so I'll give them that. But they're gonna use Tenzin as leverage against Korra. I already believe that it's not gonna end well for Korra and the rest of the gang simply because Zahir and the rest of Red Lotus will be returning for the next book. There is no way they're getting rid of them now. So if they really want to go dark with this series, it seems like someone's gonna have to make the ultimate sacrifice. And I'll just say this, Tenzin might not necessarily make it to the next book. I'm not saying it's coming true, I'm just throwing that possibility out there. But to wrap things up, I definitely like this episode. I still hold true to what I thought of on the last couple of reviews that anarchy will spread, but it's going to be more of a minor after effect of what's going to happen with this book. I'm still curious as to what Zahir wants with Korra. I still have no idea. They're really good at hiding the motive, if anything. But other than that, this pretty much ends this review, so comment down in the comment section down below. I would love to hear what you guys think. What do you guys think about my possibility? Too dark, too real, too real. So if you guys like it, subscribe if you guys want to. We do weekly reviews on various series, you know, Legend of Korra, Zonkyo no Terror, Tokyo Ghoul. Tell us what you guys think about the background music that we're utilizing. You know, we stated this in previous reviews that we are going to be experimenting with background music just to liven things up. So if you guys like it or if you want us to change it up, tell us down in the comment section down below. So other than that, I'll see you in the next review. This is Jan, 1/3 of MediaShinobi, signing out.